What up, everyone? Joe Quills here with you with a Thursday night edition of the Philly Guy Speaks. And let me fix this here. Because I'm purposely off center because I want you to see Ring the Bell. I want you to see Fighting Phils. I do want you to see the bobbleheads and all that, but a little further off center than I usually am. I prefer to be off center because of the background, but whatever. But anyways, hope everybody have a great week out there. Me, I'll get into that in a little bit. So, just turned out one other light on here. So, anyways, got a lot to talk about here tonight, and we'll get things going here. I'm going to be looking around all over the place. I got the football game over here on the computer. I got the game going on over there. It's 3-3 in Texas. Houston was up 3-0. And we have Jacksonville and New Orleans. I want to say Houston and Jacksonville. I don't know. But anyways, it's second quarter 14-3. Whoops. I'm trying to turn the TV down on my TV here. There we go. Oh well. Anyways, I'll have to figure it out because I was trying to do it by Smart Things app on my phone. But anyways, Phillies lose today 2-1 to Arizona. I'll give thoughts on that. Eagles play Miami on Sunday night football. The return to the Kelly Green. I'll talk about that game briefly. Some random thoughts with that. And also, we got some controversy in Ann Arbor. Apparently, Jim Harbaugh and his staff may have pulled a New England Patriots. I'll get into that as well here. So, and I'll have a couple of picks for you at the end of the show. So let's get to it here. I watched the Phillies game while I was working. So I did take some notes, and of course, I left it on the desk. So let me grab that real quick. And one thing we probably could agree on is we probably can agree that we don't just one word probably. I think we can agree that managers take pitchers out way too soon. And Torey Lovullo, he did it with Fott this afternoon. Not farts or Fots, because that's what you do in Boston. You fought. But Fott was pulled after 70 pitches. I thought it was 69. Somebody said it was 69 pitches on Twitter. I was like, man, that's such a great number to leave on. And here he left with 70 pitches. Ranger Suarez left in the sixth inning, giving up a double in the sixth inning. He had 69 pitches as well. But a lot of questions I had about the game. Phillies bats went a little bit cold. Some of it can be attributed to the pitching of Arizona today as they got back on track pitching wise. And you kind of expected that being at home. And also, they had their guys pitching in those key moments that they want to have. Phillies did for the most part. I question why you bring Orion Kerkering in the seventh inning there. And the one question I have is, You just pitch him in game two. Now in the playoffs, you know, I mean, I could play the sound drop from Rocky Four. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow, Rock. That thing. But there is a tomorrow, but there's now a Saturday game. But um, I just thought you have Strom, you have Dominguez, even though Dominguez has been a bit shaky now and then. You got Alvarado, you have Kimbrel, who was a little wild, um, in my opinion. That's the word I'll use, even though we could probably use other words. He was hittable. Um, I just think that they did not have to bring Kirkering in the seventh inning there. Now, is there something going on with Dominguez that we don't know? Now, granted, I'm not listening to the game because I'm working. I have to, at least how I feel when it comes to watching while I work. I have to keep the TV down. And, it's even when I watch Tony Bruno's show on Friday nights while I'm working, I will sit there and I'll be playing with the volume for like an hour of his 2 hour show. And, um, it's like making sure I have the volume just right so I hear it, but it's not loud enough that people will be saying, "What the hell is this operator listening to?" When Tony's going off on something, because Tony has his rant every Friday night, if you watch the show. But I feel like, you know, I mean, I'm probably missing things, and that's okay because the way that they're doing the broadcast, and with me working, I, I I'm wondering if the True TV broadcast, which is basically their version of the Manny cast, other than the K Rod cast or whatever they call it for Sunday Night Baseball. Um, I'm wondering if that's a better option. But either way, I just don't. I just don't have. I don't know what they're saying. So if I have missed something and you're listening to this after the fact, feel free to hit me up at Joe Quills on Twitter, and we'll maybe I missed something because some people said, oh, you could see how Dominguez, he's not as reliable this year, blah blah blah, whatever the verbiage was. Now they probably didn't say anything, and that's fine. But I would not have brought Kirkering in there because he only pitched what 3 or 4 games, if that. And also, the one thing I said, and I may have said it to a friend, um, just talking baseball in general, away from the internet world that we're all in right now. I might have said it on another stream, whatever it was. I I am worried. The one thing I worry about is about Kirkering is this is the first year that he's pitched deep into September and now through the middle of October. Now, granted, you'll say, well, he probably was in a prospect league or something, or the Arizona Fall League. Or I don't even think he was even in that last year. But, and we don't know if he played winter ball or anything. And winter ball, some pitchers can handle it, some people can't, and they run out of gas mid-season and whatever. But I would have gone to somebody who has been through the wars there. Um, Now, maybe if it was a 3-0 series lead, which is should have been, um, I would have went to Dominguez in the sixth, or in the 7th, or maybe keep Hoffman in for the 6th inning. Because let me see something with Hoffman here. Hoffman threw 9 pitches. 9. Now, you bring Hoffman in a high leverage situation like that, he gets you out of the inning in 9 pitches. Why isn't he on the mound? Why is he not on the mound? But we can question all we want. The good news is we're up 2-1. We're not down 2-1. We're not down 3-0. We're up 2-1. Can still win it as early as Saturday night. And you know, it's just it's just a little frustrating, and you know, and rightfully so. We can question that move. And one thing I did see here, and I'm just going to play it just for shits and giggles here if it's still on my main page. Here it is. I'm going to play this video. This is Rob Thomson post game, and maybe he'll answer a couple of my questions here. This is from CBS Philadelphia. They posted it about an hour ago. Let's play it, and let me see if it changes my opinion, because that's something I am with you guys. You know, bring it to me. You know, hit me up on Twitter at Joe Quills or at Philly Guy Speaks, and let me know. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit I'm wrong. You know, sometimes it's harder to admit, but yeah, I will admit I'm wrong sometimes. But anyways, here's the video, and let's see what Rob Thomson had to say here.
Okay, as a reminder, please wait for the microphones. This time we'll open up for questions for Rob. Casey?
Rob, what made Fott so effective tonight? Did you think it was more about him, or is it more about the way the guys approaching him, or what did you think?
Oh, he did a nice job. I mean, he threw strikes, mixed his pitches well, kept us off balance. You know, it's a guy that we haven't seen before, so it's a little bit different. But I thought he did a good job, and I think our hitters will be ready to go tomorrow.
Okay, Marcus?
Rob, why did you go to Kirkering in the 7th when the other 2 guys seemed available?
Well, you know, he's pitched pretty well for us, and the moment's not too big for him. And we knew that in that part of the lineup, there's probably going to be some left-handed pinch hitting coming, a chance to anyway. And he's really good on left-handers. Pavin Smith got the ball that fell in front of Castellanos, which wasn't really hit all that hard, but he just didn't execute a couple of pitches on the right-hand hitters.
Where does he stand in your view right now? I mean, will you put him in that situation again?
Yes.
Next question. In the back there, Matt, on the left.
What did you see from Kimbrel in the 9th, and how difficult is it after walking the leadoff batter there?
Yeah, that's the key, right? And he just couldn't find the zone consistently, and sometimes that happens to Kim, but he'll be available tomorrow, and he'll be ready to go.
Next question down here in the front, Anthony.
What is your plan now for tomorrow, both in terms of who starts and
Sanchez will start.
Sanchez.
Yeah.
And how do you piece it together after him?
We'll figure it out.
Next question. We're gonna go back to Marcus.
You guys haven't struck out like this in a while. Was it fought, or was it lack of focus? Was it just one of those days?
Not lack of focus, I can tell you that. These guys were locked in today, coming in the ballpark, and all the work was really good. I think Fott pitched very well when we saw a couple of guys we haven't seen so far in the playoffs with Ginkle and Seawald and Thompson. So, you just got to dust yourself off and come back tomorrow, and that's what this team does.
Okay, far left. Nope, you good?
No,
We'll go
thank
back.
you. It was addressed. I was going to ask about Brandon Fott. What did you see from Fott? But I think you addressed it. If you've got anything more, I'd love to hear it.
He was good.
Rob, why Sanchez?
Well, he's been throwing the ball very well, and I know there's a lot of right-handers in that lineup, but I have a lot of confidence in him. I don't know how far we're going to be able to go with him, but he's been pitching very well and throwing strikes, and I got a lot of confidence in him.
Do you feel like you guys missed an opportunity today to really put control on this series?
It was a great ball game. It could have gone either way, you know. I mean, what are you going to do? I'm not going to think about it that way. I'm going to think about coming in here tomorrow and getting ready to compete.
Back to Marcus.
By just a little bit, Ranger, had a career high in playoff outing experience. And again, you guys are starting pitchers, I think, are like a 1-7 with, 60 strikeouts and 4 walks. I can't imagine you thought you'd be sitting here 9 games into the postseason with your starters having performed that well.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. The walk rate, the strikeout rate, the soft contact rate, all of it has been really, really good. And hats off to them. And I think Sanchez will come out here tomorrow and give us a good outing as well.
Okay, anything else for Rob? Okay, thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was Rob Thomson after today's game. That was on the CBS Philadelphia YouTube page. It was on my main page. I was like, oh, maybe I can use this. So he was okay with going to Kirkring, and hopefully this isn't a decision that hurts him in the long run. Only because I'm worried about. I'm just thinking starting April in Clearwater, then going to Lakewood, then going to Reading, then going to Lehigh Valley, then going to Philly. It's a lot of work. Now, granted, you're not pitching him. I think he pitched like 8 to 10 games at each stop. So it's not like he's pitching 30 games and then, we're going to use him another 20 here. So he hasn't been used that much. And, when you start becoming a prospect, you start using, kid gloves on them. So, but me personally, this is just me. This isn't other sports media telling you be aware of this. And also the whole football adage as well that, once you get a couple of games worth of video on him, like in football, because I got the football game on here, like for example, the one thing they tell you about a quarterback you've never seen before, once you see about 3 games of film, you can see tendencies. He and a couple of my friends on Twitter today were saying that he was hanging all speed pitches, and that's expected every once in a while. You don't have your grade A stuff every game. And that was not done on purpose. So if you're listening to this and you say, Joe said gay. No, Joe tends to have brain farts. And the mouth doesn't go with the speed, the brain does, and vice versa. But anyways, so if he's got the confidence in Kirkring, I'm okay with it. Now, one thing I would have liked to see is somebody ask about Dominguez. Now, was he the designated guy for the 10th inning? I mean, you're not looking at the 10th inning when you're not looking at a 11 inning game when it's in the 6th inning and it's no score. You're hoping you get 2, 3, 4 runs and you put that game out of reach. But I just think I would have gone either Hoffman to pitch the 7th or at least start the 7th because he had that nice start, or I would have gone Dominguez. But that's why I'm sitting here streaming at 9:39 p.m. after a Phillies loss, as opposed to actually being the guy with all the decisions. And I appreciate Rob Thomson for talking the way that he does. He's not a guy that's overly smart like Joe Girardi. I mean, he went to Northwestern, but he's not a guy like Joe Girardi, even though he has the media presence where a combination of that and also his Northwestern education, it's almost like he's too smart for the room. And it's not Charlie Manuel either, who, even though everybody reveres that he's the best Phillies manager ever. I think he's about fourth, if that. But that, I mean, it's all relative, and it's just like the goat argument in different sports. The goats, it's like, well, he's the goat. No, he's the goat. Well, you're comparing apples and oranges with errors and stuff like that. But I'll tell you this. Rob Thomson isn't going to talk like he's talking to a Mensa convention. And he's not going to talk to like he's talking to a special ed student either. He's not talking to your 2-year-old. He gets his point across. He'll explain it. And if he's wrong, he's wrong. And if he's right, he's right. And I appreciate what Rob Thomson does in press conferences, and you can tell that. And if you were listening to that, now I find it interesting that he goes with Cristopher Sanchez. I mean, like he said, it's a right-handed hitting lineup and blah, blah, blah. But Sanchez has pitched very well over the last couple of months. So you could argue that Taijuan Walker would probably do the same thing. Now, this was the game Game 4 is the game I was worried about the most when the series started. And I said it after Game 2. Whatever happens in Game 3 happens in Game 3. Whether it's 3-0 or 2-1 like it is, I'm worried about what happens here because of the fact that Sanchez hasn't sniffed the field in 2 weeks plus. Taijuan Walker, same thing. And I doubt you're going to let them pitch more than 4 or 5 innings. And I said it on Tuesday night, or at least I think I did in some way, shape, or form. I would seriously consider Sanchez 3 innings, Walker 3 innings as well, and then piece it together. And the way playing baseball is, after you take the starter out, you piece things together. And like you said, the way that the starting pitching has gone all year, this pitching staff has pitched lights out for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 games. And you could see that this team seems so much different over past teams, even more different than last year's team, because you haven't had that, other than that Game 2 in Atlanta. Every game is this close to a blowout. It isn't. There hasn't been a game where the Phillies have been totally blown out, and this team knows how to fight. And it's just one of those things that happens. They got their game. Now, I figured Phillies won today, lose tomorrow, win Saturday. But you're still in line for a gentleman's sweep here. So I wouldn't worry about – I'm a little worried, not in terms of the series. I'm worried about the Game 4. Now, the best way to get the worries from happening, people worrying about things, is score 4 or 5 runs right off the bat. Boom. That's what you do. You score 4 runs in the first 2 innings, or even the first inning. then it's like, uh-oh, here we go again. But that's just me. And Arizona is going to be going the bullpen game. They're going to start Joe Manaply. And I think that's their plan was going to that for the beginning. And I personally feel that the Phillies have a big advantage because they do have Cristopher Sanchez, who you could argue is your third starter, is your fourth starter, is your fifth starter. After the first two starters of Wheeler and Nola, if you want to rate them 1 to 5, and truthfully, this time of the year, do you really need to rate them 1 through 5? I mean, yeah, you got 1 and 2 in Wheeler and Nola. That's a no-brainer. But even though I would think that 90% of people will say that Suarez is 3. And if you remember, even from last year, I told you guys that Ranger Suarez was the key to the Phillies playoff run. And he's going to be the key again. Sanchez is also a key as well. It's how's he going to bounce back after being idle as long as he can, as long as he has. Now, you could say, oh, he pitched in this simulated game and he did this and he did that. There's nothing like the real thing, people. He can have simulated games every day for the last 2 weeks. It's getting under the bright lights. It's getting under the dome there at Chase Field. Chase Utley Field, we should be calling it. But, because the Phillies bullpen is a lot better than Arizona's bullpen. If you can get to the point where they're pulling in these guys that were getting hit around in game 2, we could be on clinch watch at 11 o'clock and saying, hey, Saturday night, Mr. Mayor, I hope you're greasing those poles. And let me see if I can find this other video, because I'm hoping whoops. It helps if I spell her name right. All right, so let me see here. Let me see if it's on here, because it'll be a recent video. Here it is. I'm going to play this video, and once again, I did not see this video. This is from 6ABC here in Philadelphia. Now, I have to tell a story here because there is a connection with me and this girl in a way. I went to school with her father, and we talk more after we graduate than we talked in school. It's just the way classes are and all that, and cliques and all that stuff. But she did a video because she goes to school at Arizona State University. So she did a funny story about, they're not greasing the poles in Phoenix, even though the Eagles fans were taking over. Well, here's part 2 of that from a couple of days ago. Here we go.
Surprise, surprise, a good number of Phillies fans are making the 2,000-mile journey out to Phoenix to watch the Phillies take on the Diamondbacks today. Once on the ground, they'll notice differences beyond just the weather and the landscape. Action News reporter John Paul now also live at Phoenix. And John, you talked to someone who's helping fans get acclimated to a very different sports culture out there.
I like the word acclimated because we got to get acclimated to the 97-degree temperatures out here, and a lot of Phillies fans need to get acclimated. We've been watching them stream in all afternoon. There are tons of Philly fans. I mean, it might even be a 50-50 split. When you look around, you see the Phillies gear everywhere. But I want to show you something that you won't see. It's over here, Mike. This pole. This is dry. There is no grease on this poll. We talked to one Philadelphia native who went viral for teaching Phillies fans where to climb.
It's part 2 of things you can climb in Phoenix, a Chase Field edition.
Meet Grace Del Pizzo.
Maybe make things less climbable, I don't know.
She's from Marple, PA, but goes to college in Phoenix. So she knows a few things about Philadelphia sports fans and their tendency to climb things when their team does well. So she's acting as kind of a tour guide for fans coming to town. They didn't consider Philadelphia fans when they built this, huh?
No, they did not. If you look behind me, this whole thing is very climbable. It's like it's almost built for that. I don't really know why they would do that. I mean, D-backs fans don't really climb a lot.
She's found viral internet fame pointing out the different structures to climb in Phoenix.
If you look at this whole concourse over here, it's like it's built to be climbable.
Of course, as a joke, she's not really promoting the idea, just poking some fun at the more laid-back atmosphere in Phoenix compared to Philly.
It's really strange to me. I mean, I'm used to a lot more than this, so we'll see how it goes today.
But as you can see, a little of South Philly is here, just not the grease. Fans from Philadelphia have a reputation, right?
Absolutely. They're going to bring it today.
All right, we're back out here live outside of Chase Field. Philly fans have started to surround us. See, they recognize the Channel 6 logo. They came over. This is what it's like everywhere you look. No grease on the poles. By the way, tickets were super cheap today. I'm going to get more into that today at 5 o'clock. We'll send it back to you, Sarah.
John, people online today were calling Phoenix Southwest Philadelphia.
It looks like it. It really looks like it. I'm telling you, we are well represented today.
I love this city. Great job, John Paul. Thank you so much.
I had to play that, so yeah, and I laughed when I saw that video on Twitter the other night. And I would have played it directly from Twitter if I could, but that was funny as hell. And good job by her. Good job by Grace Del Pizzo, and great job by my fellow classmate of the class of '91, John Del Pizzo, who instilled a great sense of humor and someone who isn't afraid of joking around and not taking things seriously. And if you've seen the whole video, just know that it's done in fun, because there's always going to be somebody who is going to touch those wires of the light rail that's right outside the stadium. Somebody's going to be dumb enough to do it, and just don't do it. It's a funny thing. And just to let you know, if you want to see the full video on Twitter, and yes, I refuse to call it X, let me find it. It's under Grace Del Pizzo, Grace and then DELPICCO. So you might have to look for it a little bit, but it's a funny video, and it's all in good fun. Hopefully she doesn't get herself into trouble with Phoenix police for a joke. But the way that society is now, in a lot of ways, you can't joke about things like this. But funny stuff nonetheless, and still, Phillies are still up 2-1, and hopefully get 2 more wins and get ourselves to the World Series. Eagles. Quick thoughts on the Jets game, even though I didn't talk about it on Tuesday, because Tuesday was a full sidecast of Game 2 of the NLCS. Once Lane Johnson was out, it just seemed like the offense lost continuity, even though the injury was in the first half. They scored a touchdown after he was injured, but it just seemed like the whole second half. It was just a comedy of errors, and the one thing is, so things happen from time to time. And if Lane Johnson does play on Sunday Night Football, the team will be fine. You'll have the whole gang back together, and everything should be fine for the Eagles. And these games do happen, and the Jets had to beat the Eagles sometime. It was 12 games in a row. Should be 13, but you have a bad game. Devontae Smith drops a couple of balls, and little mistakes that add up, and a couple of crazy bounces on interceptions. Um, I mean, Jalen Hurts was credited with, I think, 3 interceptions last week. Let me just double check that. Is it 3 or 4? Um, Let me find it here. Jalen Hurts had 3 interceptions, and DeAndre Swift lost the fumble. And the DeAndre Swift fumble, nothing you could do. That was just a perfect punch toward the ball to get the ball out. I mean, you could have had both arms around the ball like this. That ball would still came out. And 2 of the interceptions that Jalen Hurts threw, even though in hindsight they may be considered bad passes, but when balls bat around like that, you just throw your hands up and say, what are we supposed to do? But I mean, other than the fact that you catch it, but I'm not worried about that game too much because, like I said after the game, the silver lining in the game is it affects almost nothing to the tiebreakers because it's not a conference game. I mean, it's probably going to come down. I mean, you're probably going to have to go to the 6th or 7th tiebreaker for that game to affect you. So, Eagles are in good shape right now. Even though, you start, sometimes you'll start wondering, oh, what's wrong with this team, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. But I really think that the Eagles will get on track and, be a fun game. Eagles are going to be wearing their Kelly greens, and you know me, I'm not a fan of the Kelly green. I just think that since the Super Bowl has begun, the Eagles have been in the playoffs so many more times in the midnight green era that we should embrace the fact that this is a unique color. Now, here's a question I have for everybody. Do you really want to be a carbon copy of the Jets? Now, of course, the smartasses that had a circle jerk at Lincoln Financial Field when they first introduced the Kelly green to the public to buy, they'll say, well, the Jets don't look like the Eagles look like the Jets. Well, the Jets, they went backward first, so I don't want to hear it. But the only good thing that's going to happen on Sunday night is the fact that I will be able to tell the difference between a 0, a 6, and an 8. And I said this before I said this after the first exhibition game. My dad calls me. Why is there 2 10s? Why is there 2 0s? I said, Dad, I'm not watching the game. I'm doing something else here. But I just need to, I told him, I said, I need to see it. And I told him the next day, I was like, okay, I see your point there. It's this and that and whatever. Leave me alone. So, but the only good thing for me when it comes to the Kelly green is the fact that the numbers will be easier to read. Otherwise, no. If you wanted to go Kelly green, go with the Super Bowl 15 jerseys because guess what? The Eagles actually played for a Super Bowl in those uniforms. The Eagles didn't do shit in the Buddy Ryan jerseys, as I call them. That's what I argue. But it's such a beautiful uniform and this and that. Meanwhile, people are like this with the circle jerk. But I'll tell you what. I think, win or lose, I know that I am fighting a lost cause here. And I know that eventually that Kelly Green is going to be the official color of the Eagles in a couple of years. Now, I think that the helmet that we have now is so much better as opposed to the Kelly Green helmet. You know, if you can use the same design but Kelly Green, maybe I will take a little bit of a pass on what I'm saying about Kelly Green. But I think that midnight green is the better color because it's a unique color. You see your team on the field in passing. It's like, oh shit, it's the Eagles. Whereas, like right now, New Orleans, they're in all black and they got their gold helmet. Well, guess what? I know that's New Orleans if I'm passing by and I don't see the graphic on the bottom of the screen. Let's say there was a screen bug error on Amazon's side. I could still tell the two teams. Like last Sunday, Buffalo wore their period pieces, as I call them. All right, they were wearing their color rush red jerseys. But if I'm just walking by a TV at the sports book, I'm like, okay, well that's the Buffalo game at that TV, and that's this game here, and that's this game here. You know. But let's say I'm in a sports book, and let's say that November game when Buffalo comes to the link. Okay. And this may not be the case, but pretend it is. Let's say we're walking by the screens here because you want to get something to eat, and I gotta drop a dookie bomb in the men's room. Okay. I will know what TV has what game. But if it's in passing, I gotta take a double take because guess what? I gotta figure out which game's the Jets game, which game's the Eagles game because they both have the same colors now. But I just think that midnight green should be the color because we won a Super Bowl in those jerseys. But I know what I'm saying is a lost cause because eventually Jeffrey Lurie, who did not want Kelly Green years ago, reversed course and said, oh, we got to go back to Kelly Green. Oh, it was because of the 2 helmet rule. Get the fuck out of here. Personally, I would have rather seen the black helmets again, but that's not going to happen either. But you know, and it all depends upon. I apologize for yawning there. And if you follow me on Twitter, I did joke around and say that Devontae Smith is in concussion protocol because he said that the green uniforms, the Kelly Greens are the ones to worry about, the ones that we should wear. So I said that as a joke. Of course, nobody came after me, surprisingly, because sometimes you say something that pisses somebody off and sometimes you don't. But just an update here on the injuries here from Thursday's practice. Reed Blankenship did not practice because of a rib injury. Bradley Roby did not practice because of a shoulder injury. Jalen Carter has an ankle issue. Dallas Goedert pulled a groin, his own. Lane Johnson ankle, and Devontae Smith hamstring. Those 4 guys were limited participants in practice. Full practice was Sidney Brown, Eli Ricks, Darius Slay. So that they're going to need those guys because Miami loves to pass the ball. Marlon Tuiapolu and Milton Williams, tricep and ankle respectively, were also full practice. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because especially Devontae Smith, because he's my guy on fantasy. He's had 3 bad fantasy weeks. Personally, I think that Devontae Smith would probably play, but the way that the Eagles' offense is, knowing my luck, let's say I bench Devontae Smith this week and he does play in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 3 touchdowns. It totally pisses me off because I bench him, but I can't bench him because I got that stack with Jalen Hurts, and it's but I got the most dangerous team in the Mike Abadir Show League, and I'm the only 5-1 team right now, and trying to get distance in my division, because winning the division gets you a first round bye, and even though the players won't have a bye, my fantasy team will. Be nice to sit here on a Sunday, not worry about fantasy football, and just sit here and football. But anyways, I'd still be worrying. Please don't get hurt. That's what I'd be saying. But anyways, and I'll have a pick on the Eagles game here, because I like that they have the injuries. It does seem like a lot of guys that missed the game are coming back. So that's a good sign for the Eagles, especially with a team like Miami coming in. So hopefully last week is just a blip on the radar and not anything that leads to more trouble. But if Darius Slay's back, that's a good thing. And hopefully Eagles get another win here. And and also the shocker was San Francisco lost to Cleveland. Cleveland showed up defensively, and they had to, because they were on their 3rd string quarterback, PJ Tucker from Temple. Did I get his name right? Let me check that as well, because sometimes you screw up. Yeah, because they had Dorian Thompson-Green against the Ravens. He didn't do squat. PJ Walker. I think I said that. And if I screwed up, I screwed up. It's not that big of a deal, but you get the idea. But I'll give my picks at the end of the show here, and I got a couple other things I do want to mention as well here. Sunday night football, the fans will be extra liquored up. And if the Phillies win in 5, the Eagles fans will probably be hung over like crazy. Probably just getting out of jail from climbing the poles. Anyways. Saw this story today. It was a bit strange, but since it involves Jim Harbaugh, in a way, it doesn't really surprise me. But the NCAA is investigating Michigan football for a potential sign stealing rules violation. So I'm like, when I first saw this, I'm like, he's pulling a Bill Belichick there, ain't he? Now, here's the thing. Stealing signs, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, in terms of being able to figure out what their hand signals and other things are, trying to figure that out on the spot, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why a couple of times this year, if you look at the Phillies games and near the end of the regular season, Craig, actually it even happened in game 1 of the NLDS. There was a runner on second base, Kimbrel's on the mound, purposely drops the ball while he's on the mound on the rubber, and he tells the guy, go to third. Because, he's worried about, getting, being able to know what the signs are, because he doesn't really like the automated pitch system that they use to call plays, to call pitches. But there is some things that the NCAA has to investigate here, because this actually goes back, and I was looking for it before the show started, because I was actually looking for this video. I wasn't looking for the Rob Thomson video, even though that video was right there on the front page. Once I saw it, I was like, how can I work this in? And once I started talking, that video, Grace Del Pizzo, I had to share that story. But I didn't see this video, and I think it's actually on either Fox or ESPN or something, because Greg Schiano, the Rutgers coach, was onto something a few weeks ago. He said that there was, and let me get his statement here, because I have 3 different stories here about the, actually 4 different ones here. Greg Schiano said, in every game at halftime, they had their 2 questions with the coach, whether it's halftime or after the game. Michigan was trailing, Rutgers was trailing Michigan 14-7 at the half. Greg Schiano was headed to the locker room. He did a brief interview, sideline interview with the Big Ten Network, which is basically Fox. He was asked about first half penalties, but took the answer in a different and unusual direction. He said, well, there's some stuff going on out there, so we've got to slow it down a little bit. Just some things going on that aren't right as well. So we'll talk about how to handle it. Now, as I drop my glasses, I have no freaking clue where they went. All right. Well, I got something to do after I'm done. So you do, now that you look back at this, it's like, something going on with that game. So you did have a veiled comment there, because everything that happened over the last couple of weeks. Now, sign stealing is not a violation. Like I said, if you can figure out what a catcher is doing just by standing there at second base, even though you will have the baseball cops come and give you a bow tie, it's not illegal. But using staff and other assigned personnel to attend games would be against the rules. Sources said that was the issue with the Wolverines, and also going to practice with them, because the NCAA prohibited in-person scouting of opponents in 1994. Michigan allegedly sent personnel to games to try to glean play signals from future opponents. So they're doing the same shit that the Patriots did that one game when they were in Cincinnati and got caught, and also that game with the New York Jets, trying to record them just doing the different signals and stuff like that. When I first read this, I thought it was just practice. Not game, practice. But apparently they've been doing it in games. So if that's the case, the NCAA has to step in and step in hard, because this is not only something that really is dirty, it's Belichickian in a way, but it's also the second time that Michigan has been investigated for different things within the last year. The first one was over the summer. They were being investigated for alleged violations regarding recruiting during the COVID-19 dead period in 2020. Harbaugh allegedly met with recruits, and he allegedly had more than the allowed limit of coaches to practice and watch players' workouts via Zoom. Now, Michigan suspended Harbaugh for the first 3 games. That was Michigan's suspension, apparently not the NCAA's. Now, the NCAA, after a negotiated resolution between the school and the NCAA for a 4-game suspension, reached an impasse. So, I mean, why are you negotiating? He either did it or he didn't do it. And the NCAA should have said, well, you did this, and he wasn't being helpful in the investigation, so that should be a sign too. Now, Harbaugh made a statement today that I want to make it clear my staff will fully cooperate with the investigation into this matter. This was in a statement released by the Michigan Athletic Department. I do not have any knowledge of or information regarding the University of Michigan football program illegally stealing signals, nor have I directed any staff member or others to participate in an off-campus scouting assignment. I have no awareness of anyone on our staff having done that or having directed that action. Now, here's the question, the $64 billion question. What happens if he's found guilty of this? Do they make them forfeit games? Because since Michigan's the number 2 team in the country, this is going to affect the national championship. And you hope a rival like Michigan State, where they had issues last year in the tunnel after the game, is there karma with that as well coming up? There's so many different things that can happen as a result here. And I just think that there, like I said with the Northwestern thing, like I said with a couple other things that came up that I saw, if there's smoke, there's fire. And, I couldn't care less either way, because I'm kind of a Michigan fan, but I'm kind of a general sports fan. I don't have a college football team. If I do have a football team, it's whoever plays Penn State. And I told you that a few times in the past because of the fact that Jerry Sandusky raped those kids. He molested them, and it was under Joe Paterno's watch. Even though Joe Paterno probably didn't know, it still happened while he was the man in charge of the football program, and he was the god of the athletic department. Well, God turned out to be a devil because it happened under his watch, and that's why I do not support Penn State under any circumstances whatsoever. But also, Michigan State, who plays Michigan this weekend, they considered skipping the Michigan game over the sign stealing allegations. The Athletics' Brendan Quinn reported that Michigan State approached the Big Ten to say it was considering not playing the game this weekend, citing concern over health and safety of its players. Initially, the conference gave Michigan State a heads up regarding the investigation to inform the school of Michigan's alleged sign stealing ahead of the game. And rightfully so. I mean, you got to let them know what's going on. It's like, but they did it to they let the other teams know as well. But on Thursday, Michigan State did tell the league that they were playing the game on Saturday. But there's all kinds of questions with this that are going on here. Michigan State did tell, the NCAA did alert a couple of other teams that are coming up for Michigan that this investigation is going on. I guess one way of saying, if you see something, let us know, because we can get them for this, because we don't know how brazen Michigan can be in doing something like this if they did it, and if they did not do it, what's this false accusation? But when you and I wish I could find the actual video on YouTube so I can play it for you guys. It's definitely something that I wish could be, so you can judge for yourself and see if it's a veiled response, because it does seem like, you say one thing but you actually mean another thing, and it's like, I can't really say this, but but if you make an accusation like that during the game, it's like, well, we just heard you said that, so we're going to put 60 points on you in the second half. But that's just me. So, but I'm going to keep an eye on that for you, and we'll go from there. So now let's go to the picks here this weekend. Let me pull up my DraftKings here. And the reason why I use DraftKings now, if you haven't been paying attention to the podcast, is the fact that when I give you these picks, I show them to you on the video here. So don't be afraid, and this is called the Philly Fade for a reason. It used to be the Friday Fade, but since I don't do a show on Friday nights anymore, it's now called the Philly Fade. And that is because you got an option here with my picks, because I am from Philly. And you got a choice with the, it's more alliteration than anything else. Do you go my way, or do you fade the living shit out of it? So let's go to college football. First, let me go here. There we go. We're going to go to Ohio State, Penn State. And I'm going to go Ohio State here. Now, Ohio State, they're starting to get into form here. Kyle McCord, the starting quarterback, and Marvin Harrison, Jr. the third. They are a quarterback wide receiver option that know each other very well. They played at the prep, and now they're playing in Columbus. I would not be surprised if Penn State lays an egg here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State wins as well. But I'm going to give the 4.5 here at -110. I think Ohio State's going to win that by at least 10 points. Next, let me see if there's anything else here on the college scene here. Let's go to University of Oregon. They had a tough loss over Washington last week. I am going to take Washington State and take the 20 points. Does Washington State win this game? No. But I think that they're going to keep it close here. I think there's going to be like a little bit of a letdown after an emotional game. They're still going to win that game. It'd probably be a game where they win by 17 and maybe even a backdoor cover that appears on Scott Van Pelt's Bad Beat segment. So I'll take that. Washington State -108. And I'm going to take this pick for AJ and for the Bleacher Brothers crew. Check the Bleacher Brothers Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Get all your sports needs, different articles and stuff like that. I'm going to start writing a lot of articles because the Breeders' Cup is coming up. Whole lot of things coming down the pike over the next couple of weeks for me. So videos and type stuff and all the stuff, and I'll get more into that in a second. But let's go with a Bleacher Brothers homer bet. Going to take Florida Atlantic on the money line at plus 114. And let's go with one more here. USC looked like total dog water, as my friend SJ would say, against Notre Dame last week. Notre Dame, they just shut down. They shut down Caleb Williams. Apparently, Caleb Williams, he wants a piece of ownership stake with this contract. I don't even think you can do that. I don't think you can be a partial owner of a team and play at the same time. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that article today. But either way, USC takes on Utah. USC, their defense is not that great. You know what? I'm going to go double wager here. I'm going to go USC -7. And in a separate wager, I'm going to take over 53 here as well. So the -7 is -112. And the over 53 is -110. So those are your 5 wagers here on the right-hand side here. Ohio State -4.5 at -110. Washington State plus 20 at -108. Florida Atlantic on the money line at plus 114. AJ's going to like that. USC -7 at -112. USC -7 at -112. And I'm also taking the over 53 as well. So now, if you wanted to play that 5-team parlay, if it would let you do it, because sometimes they see 2 different wagers like this on the same bet, they'll be like, no, you can't do that. But a 5-pick parlay, if that were to come in, would be plus 27.43 if you're daring enough to do that. So let's clear. Those were the 5 wagers there. And then let's go to the National Football League. And right now, with an update, it is 24-9. Jacksonville. Glad I did not get a pick in on Tuesday night because I would have told you to play the Saints. And thankfully, I did not do that. So, and let me check my fantasy right now. Damn, I got 21 points from Alvin Kamara somehow tonight. That's cool. Anyways, so let's go to the National Football League here. Let's begin with the Commanders and the Giants. I think if the Giants are going to win a game here, it's going to be this game. Washington may be looking ahead to the Eagles. They barely lost to the Eagles in overtime a couple of weeks ago. Giants, they didn't do much, but they held Buffalo to 14 points. Gave a scare out of me in my survivor pools that I'm in on WIP, on ESPN, and another buddy from my class of 91 at St. Joe's got me in. So I'm still alive in all 3. But I am going to take the Giants on the money line. Tyrod Taylor will be starting again this week, and he probably right now long term, probably not. But right now, he gives the Giants a better chance of winning, in my opinion, this week. So that's where I'm going with that. Seattle takes on Arizona. And truthfully, I think Arizona, they're a weird team now because Kyler Murray is now in that 21-day period to return to the team off the PUP list. But I think Seattle, even though I'm not that high on them, I think Arizona, they had a couple of games where they put scares in teams. And they have won in Seattle in the past, but not this year. Seattle wins that easily at -7.5. I think they got something to prove after losing last week. And the final game here, and because it's the Eagles game, I got to pick that whenever I do a Philly fade for you. Eagles 2.5-point favorite, which tells you at a neutral site, Miami's a 0.5-point favorite here. So, it's whatever. And I think Miami is a much better team at home than they are on the road. We saw them get boat raced by Buffalo after they gave up the 70. After they scored 70 on Denver. And there's an updated odds on the Giants game. I'll tell you that in a second as well. If you're watching the video, you saw that change while I was talking here. But I'm going to take the Eagles here, give the 2.5 points. And like I always say here, the chances of winning this game, the Eagles winning this game and not covering, it's infinitesimal. That's what I'm trying to say. Very small. But it's kind of like this Green Bay Denver game where if you think Green Bay's going to win this game outright, go there to the -1. Don't go for the -115. Why give a 15% vig outright when you can basically have an outright wager of -1 at -110? Or if you think Denver's going to win, why go +1 at -110 where you can go straight up at -105? I'm not going with that bet, so that bet doesn't count. That's just something I just wanted to demonstrate as well. And, it's just something I'm going to be adding to my YouTube page as well. But Eagles are a 2.5 point favorite. I'm going to take the Eagles at -2.5. So this line, the morning line changed as I was talking to you here. So the Giants are +124. That's what we're going to go with here. Giants +124 on the money line, or until I clear this out, it's -1. It's +124 right now. Seahawks -7.5 points at -110. Eagles -2.5 at -110 as well. And if you're brave enough to play all three picks here that I have here, it is a +716 on a 3-pick parlay. So those are the 3 picks there. And do want to update you guys on a couple of things here. First of all, there was no audio podcast on Tuesday. Just to let you guys know, going forward, if I do a sidecast like I did on Tuesday night, where it was the full game, I'm not going to do an audio podcast. I just think it defeats the purpose of actually just making it into an audio. I think it would just be a horrible thing. Now, last week when I did the partial sidecast, I did want that audio out there because I wanted you to hear what my sidecasts are like. So maybe you guys can come on over to nofilter.net. We have the different ways so you can join me here in the chat. You can join me on stream, whatever you want to do. So that's why there was not a podcast waiting for you Wednesday morning. Also, I do want to mention something else. And basically the last couple of days, a lot of stuff has hit the fan. And I already dropped an S-bomb already, and I'm trying not to curse. But I found out from my buddy Mike that a guy that I used to work with, his name is Steve, I found out in a text from him because he was Facebook friends with him. I added him as a friend, but I think it was, you know, I think with different things that were going on, he never added me for whatever reason. That's fine. You know, I'm not holding it against him. You know, I'm much more mature now, and you know, it's like trying to let things roll off my back and stop bitching and moaning and all that. But even though I still do it way too much, but I found out that my friend Steve passed away last month, and way too young, at the age of 58. Now, I looked at the obituary. I looked at the memorial video that the one funeral home does for people, and it does look like it was cancer, and everything makes sense if that's the case, because you know people are different all the time. You know, I could, you know, me, like for example, my anxiety and depression. I'm not afraid to share it with you guys. You know, I'm not afraid to share it because you know I mean, I probably had anxiety and depression a while until I was diagnosed when I went to the hospital that one day when I had to abort my trip to Seattle because I was like, hey, if I go to Seattle, I can go see my friends and all this BS can go away for a week. Because there was a lot of stuff going on in my life. So, so everything made sense to me when I was thinking about it last night. Because my buddy Mike and I know he'll be listening to this eventually. I haven't talked to him today. It's just that the way my work schedule is and everything, you know, sometimes I can't shoot him a text, even though I sit there with the phone next to me all day, and you know, if something like if my dad were to call my phone for whatever reason, oh shit, let me log out of here. Let me see what he wants because he knows I'm working. Even though he is getting old and he is very forgetful. So, you know, things happen. So, you know, but I have my phone always near me. And if you send me a message or you tweet at me or you reply to a tweet, and let's say that tweet that you tag me in, if it's something that needs a reply, I will get to you. You know, but I always have the phone nearby. Matter of fact, I have the phone next to me right now, only because my phone needed to be charged badly. But going back to Steve, you know, he did pass away way too young. And it looks like with that video, it was cancer. The reason why I say that is because of the fact, or at least cancer was involved. I don't know what happened. And it made sense that my buddy and I didn't hear from him. He had, you know, because, you know, I think my buddy asked me, I think Mike asked me about a month ago, you know, have you heard from Steve? And I'm like, no. And, you know, Steve is more, I mean, Mike is more of a guy that'll text you, call you, whatever. Me, I'm more of a doing a million different things behind the scenes, things that you don't know about. So, I'm working, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm working for doing Bleacher Brothers stuff. I'm doing this podcast, I'm doing this, whatever. So that hit me a little bit last night, and it hit me again today. Because he was only 58 years old, and social media is a good thing. Social media is a horrible thing, and sometimes Facebook can be a real motherfucker because um, you'll see this from time to time when you see it's somebody's birthday, and it's the second. I mean, I had a friend on Facebook who passed away sometime earlier in the year. Same thing. Happy heavenly birthday. And the one thing I tried to do with my mom's profile, I tried to kill the profile. Well, my sister ended up logging in and reactivated or whatever because I didn't actually kill it. I just hid it. And I remember years ago when I first moved into this apartment, um, I walked down to the CVS down the street from me, and my buddy Chuck goes, somebody just logged into your mom's account, because I think at that time when you logged into the Facebook Messenger or Facebook in general, it gave an alert. So Chuck IM'd me. Did you see that? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. It's probably my sister. And my sister and I don't talk, and that's a topic for another day. That'll be a behind the scenes conversation. But that hit me hard because Steve was a good dude that I met through work, going to shows, going to karaoke up on Huntington Pike at Breen's, which is now Goal Company, something or other. He was big into music, big into hockey. He was big in all sports, but cool dude. Always had fun with him, and sometimes we lose touch of friends, and we're still, we would have still been friends. Nothing happened. It's just like, some people act different ways to health issues and stuff like that. Some choose to have it private, like Tim Wakefield. He wanted his stuff to be private, and Kurt Schilling dicked him over and let it be known to everybody. Whereas he, from what we know, he wanted it to be private, and that's what he chose to do, apparently, and nothing wrong with that. Because, in my case, if it was cancer that killed him, I really can't really talk about cancer too much because, I don't have anybody in my family from when I was knowing what death is. And trust me, I had a rude awakening to it when my grandfather passed away when I was 7 or 8 years old. But it's just it makes sense now why he went silent on us for a couple of years, and I had no problem with that. Everybody reacts to adversity in different ways. Some people choose to disappear for a while. Some want to fight the battle alone, and some want to fight it in the public eye. Whatever you determine public eye for a random person that you see down the street, going to the store, anything like that. But it did hit me a little hard, and it just seemed like that was the start of everything, the crap storm that hit me last night and today. Then work was kicking my ass yesterday, was kicking my ass again today. And you're going to see more articles from me, especially over the next couple of weeks. And I did you would have thought that was a teacher or something like that. Because I planned the next 3 months here. The rest of the month of August, November, and December. And what I put on there right now, and I'm probably going to be adding more stuff to it in the next couple of weeks. And that's actually not the calendar I'm using going forward because I screwed up on it. I have another calendar floating around here somewhere, just these 3 months. I planned everything out for the next 3 months. I planned, even though it may not be on the no filter server as of yet, I do have in the calendar that I'm using that I have to find, I do have planned every show I got planned for the rest of the year, just in terms of a little thing that says 9:15 p.m. because I have my work schedule in there. I got my streams on there. Now the calendar that I'm actually going to be referencing has sporting events on there. So I have on there all the Eagles games, the NLCS games, the ALCS games, the World Series games. I got the Breeders' Cup on there. And the next 3 weeks between work, between my shows, my Bleacher Brothers stuff that I'm doing, this show, articles, and I've been telling you guys every once in a while, and and also in a way, if AJ was watching one of those videos, that I know I'm not doing as much work as the others. Now, granted, if I could explain how rough it is during the day dealing with some of the dumbest people on the face of the earth, I could. But a lot of shit has hit the fan, and especially with the fact that a lot of things are going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. So I just want to say right now, and this may change. So this may be just me talking out of my ass. And a lot of people say that I do it all the time. If you see a 1 to 2 week period after the Breeders' Cup and after the World Series where I take a break from podcasting and streaming, I'm going to be doing it for my mental health and also physical health and everything that's going on, because I also have things going on that only a few people know about. So it's not, I'm not going to be disappearing long term. But if I do take a week off, while I'm still working, because I have a vacation the first week of December. If I do take, like, let's say I stream Monday to 6th, which is a possibility because Monday to 6th is Tuesday to 7th in Australia. It's the first Tuesday in November down there. And that is the Melbourne Cup, which is their equivalent of the Kentucky Derby. Let's say I stream that. Let's say after that, I take a break, a week, let's say, just to refresh, recharge, focus on work, focus on different things. Let's say I take a week or two off and I just write because, you know, I was talking to AJ last night and it's like, hey, get me those articles. You know, you're always talking about gambling and horse racing and stuff like that. Boom. And truthfully, I'm more than just a horse racing guy. And I don't want to be typecasted as just the horse racing guy, even though I could talk a good game with horses and gambling and stuff like that. I think that I am well-rounded when it comes to sports. And I think I'm well-rounded when it comes to some of my interests, even though some of the interests, it's like, really, dude? But, so I just want to let you know, I do have a lot of things on my plate right now. I mean, it isn't health affecting to me personally, but I get the feeling that in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have to take a week break. And, you know, what I feel right now, I may not feel in 2 weeks. And I may be saying, remember what I said on October 19th at the end of the show? Guess what? I'm much better. Forget I said it. The week of December 1st, that's the week I'm taking off because, you know what? I'm not going anywhere, but F you guys. I want to take a week-long break where I do absolutely nothing. Because I have my online radio station, power109radio.us. I have this. I have this podcast and stream, The Philly Guy Speaks. I have articles I definitely want to write. It's just that when I get time to start writing, the ADD starts kicking in and it's like, hey, look, a squirrel. So I know I'm ADD. I know I'm ADD, ADHD. Back in my day when I was a kid, it was just that you were called hyperactive. You know, but if I do have to take a break, and I'm hoping I don't, because I'm hoping I can make it through these next 2.5, 3 weeks. If I do take a break, it's because I'm going to need to do it. And I have always been upfront with you guys, whether it's telling you, hey, I do have anxiety and depression, and always look out for yourself. You know, if it's gambling, I'm always going to tell you, always make sure your bills are paid up front first. Make sure you have all those other things stuff, because this gambling stuff, people get addicted to it. And truthfully, do you want to be bankrupt, lose your home, because some guy who streams and only gets 5 or 10 downloads all of a sudden is giving you bad picks, and you actually think that he's a great gambler? I'm not going to tell you I'm a great gambler. I'm not going to tell you I'm a crap gambler. I have my periods where my picks totally suck, and there are picks where I pull out a 30-1 shot at whatever racetrack, and it comes in and it wins by 6 lengths. And if somebody's sitting next to me and hears me screaming, "Come on 4," or "Come on 6," or "Come on whatever number," it's like, what the hell did you see there? I mean, it's kind of like the one time my buddy and I went to the turf club after a Phillies game, and I remember it because it was the first race at Presque Isle Downs at 5:30, and it was the last race at Belmont, which was running about 5:40, 5:45. And for some reason, I found the program. I was like, I like this 2-horse, but why is it 30-1 morning line? And then I look at the board. It's 50-1. And I see that 2 coming on the outside. And I'm like, come on, 2. Come on, 2. And the 2 wins at 50-1 odds. And of course, I can imagine my friend Mike's wife saying, why don't you play what Joe plays when you go to the track? Why? Why does he not play it? Because I will sneak off to play it. Or that whole question about my dad a few months back. Do I tell him, or actually it was before one of the Triple Crown races, do I tell him I like a certain horse because we jinx ourselves when we have the same horse? Now, the one time we were playing horses when I was visiting him over the summer with a race at Saratoga, I kept it quiet. I was like, thank you. You didn't jinx me, you MFer, because we both had the same horse. But, you know, and I'm going to be truthful with you guys because everything I do here is for fun. And that's what I want to do. And when I feel that not just this, not my online music stuff either, when all this stuff that I do that is not work related is not fun anymore, I'll have to take a step back. Because like I told you so many times, whether it's whoever listens to this after the fact or, you know, comes in on the street. And you know what? There's days where I have nobody in this room. And it may be that there's an issue with no filter. There may be. At least I hope there isn't. Because I do not see any texts or anything like that. And from what I know, there's no emails and whatever. And, you know, I had the paper over the phone, so I didn't have a chance to look at anything. But when things are no longer fun, I have to take a step back. Because if I start worrying about anybody showing up, if I worry about how many downloads I hit, downloads I get, even though Spreaker will send me that email every week and it just goes unread, I don't want to be sitting here on a Wednesday afternoon after I upload the show on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, or Thursday night, Friday morning. I don't want to be sitting here saying, what am I doing wrong? But that's why I want you to tell me what I can do better. AJ's given me some great ideas. Now, granted, it was something that he said to everybody, but, you know, do I need to do some other things? Hell yeah. But when there's a day where interest isn't that high, no problem. I can revert to this mode. So whatever it is, I'm trying to be as flexible as possible. If you join me here at nofilter.net, what I tell you that I want to talk about, who cares? Let's have fun. Let's talk. Hit that knocker button. Join me. We'll have fun. We'll talk. By the way, New Orleans has come back to tie the game at 24. Apparently, me saying New Orleans tonight wasn't such a bad thing, at least right now. Things can change. But, but I do this for fun. I don't do it for a job. And, and a lot has hit the fan over the last couple of days with me. And if I do take a break, it's going to be a short break because, everybody needs to take a break. And everybody has good days. Everybody has bad days. And, even though I'm still alive, don't have any real issues I know of, sometimes you got to take a break. And, and I'm sure some people will say if they were really playing a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, they'll say, Joe, just take the break now. But I'm hoping it's just the fact that it's just work kicking my ass. It's the fact that a good friend passed away. Now, granted, I don't even think he knew I lived here for the last 6 years. I don't even know if he knows my mom passed away. Maybe my friend Mike told him. I don't know. But, lots been on my mind. And it may be my caffeine intake. It may be other things. It may just be that I'm getting older and, the reality of eight hours sleep most nights is not happening. Some days you get 7, some days you get 6, some days you get 9. I mean, I'm still, in a way, I'm still wrapping my mind around the fact that, if somebody were to ask me how old I am, I'm still wrapping my mind around the fact that I'm 50. And, some people take a look at me and, some people say, "No, you're not 50. Get the fuck out of here." And there's some people that will say, "You're only 50?" Something like that. There's some people that are going to be smartasses and some people that, are not. And, I remember, somebody saying, "Well, isn't he 50?" a couple of years ago. And I'm not going to say who it was or, and maybe it wasn't about me, but, it, I'm still wrapping my mind around that. And it's not a bad thing because I just don't want to be the 50-year-old that doesn't move it, doesn't do anything. And, I don't do things like I want to do. I don't do the 5-mile walk every day like I want to, or doing a 3-mile walk in the morning and then a 2-mile walk in the afternoon. And there's some days where I walk a half a mile, and that's just because I go down to the mailbox to get my stuff and come back up. Or like today, I had to do an emergency run to Acme, so I walked over there. But, The one thing I will say is even though I'm still wrapping my mind around that, I'm still trying to be as young as I can, do whatever I can, because I don't want to be the person that ended up, you know, laying in a hospital bed because they weren't moving around. The great thing about my dad, even though he's still alive and all that, and I'm just going to leave it with the fact that, he's not moving around like he used to, but, he does what he can. And, and it's definitely something that I would say to anybody, get out there once in a while. And that's something I'm hoping to do. But in terms of me personally, I am okay, but I do have a lot of things on my mind right now, work related, family related, Bleacher Brother related, Power109Radio.us related, and I'm just trying to manage things the best I can right now. And also with the fact that even though this isn't the actual calendar I used, the calendar, it may just be that I'm getting to that time of the year where when I was just doing blogs, I had a football blog. I had 2 football blogs I did. I did a college football pick blog. I did an NFL pick blog. And I would do a Friday Breeders' Cup blog, and I would do a Saturday Breeders' Cup blog. And I'd be typing all night because I want to get this up. I want to do this. I want to do that. And the next thing you know, I got a 500-word thing on week whatever, the college football season, another 500 of that, and I got another 800 words with the Friday, and then the Saturday, it's over 2,500 words. And once all that stuff is posted or written, or especially the way I do things now, whether it's a stream on No Filter, a stream on Twitch, all these different things that I do, it's just that the week that is the Breeders' Cup is a week that really kicks my ass. And I think because I do want to make a concerted effort with Bleacher Brothers, that maybe it's just something that will pass in a couple of days and I'll be fine. But if I do take a week or 2 off after the Breeders' Cup, you know why. And I'll reiterate it again on Twitter on November 6th, let's say, and I would just say, hey, taking a break for a couple of weeks from the streaming. I will be back on, no, I'm just picking a random day here. I'll be back November 28th streaming. But until then, check my articles, do this, do that, whatever. The one thing I will say is, just in terms of in general stuff, don't be afraid to take a break every once in a while. I joke around to my buddies, whether it's Mike, whether it's my friend Jerry, who I should text, whether it's him, whether it's my friends with SJ's group that I joke around with all the time, and it's just, maybe this is just something because I just thought too much last night, and let me tell you something. I hate when, and it might have been because I was starting to fall asleep at my desk here last night. Um, and maybe maybe it's just trying to wrap my head around being 50 years old as well. But last couple of nights I have not slept well. A lot of things on my mind. Um, but now that I got it out, maybe I'll feel good for Tuesday night, for next Thursday night, writing any articles over the next couple of weeks, whatever it is. But just want to let you know what's going on personally. Nothing too bad, but just want to let you know that it may be that I'll need to take a break. And who knows, maybe when November 5th rolls around, everything's fine. But if I do take a break, I did warn you about it because I am very open with you guys. So, um, so I hate to bring it down after um, an interesting day where Phillies lost 2-1 to Arizona, making a 2-1 lead. Eagles lost on last Sunday. Got a tough game with Miami. I think the Eagles can win that. The Union play on Saturday night. I don't think there's any playoff implications involved, but the Union are in the playoffs, so you're going to see me start to wear some Union stuff on stream. Think I might be wearing my Sons of Ben shirt underneath one of my Phillies jerseys on Saturday night while I work. But either way, just want to clear the air a little bit. And, I appreciate everybody that takes the time to listen, to watch, to participate. Whatever you do, I appreciate you guys. And I hope that you don't, I hope you realize that it's not about, I'm not saying goodbye or anything like that because, I'm not leaving. I just want to be truthful with you guys. And, if it leads me to taking a couple of weeks off, then so be it. But I still have a couple of weeks that I want to do a lot of things. And hopefully this funk that I'm in is just something that's temporary. But no matter what, don't be afraid to talk to others about your issues. Don't be afraid of letting things out. Just don't whip your dick out like Brett Favre did to Jennifer Sturger. But anyway, so that's going to be it for now. And I will be back on Tuesday night at 9:15. Hopefully, the Phillies are in the World Series because I'm hoping that's not a Game 7. I'm hoping that's not a Game 7 sidecast. So, but in terms of the podcasting, we're on a 5-day streaming break. And I will get an audio out this weekend. It's just, I've been slacking on that as well, and I apologize as well. So that is it for now. I do want to thank everybody who takes the time to watch this after the fact, listen after the fact, whatever you're doing. I appreciate you guys, and spread the word about this show because guess what? I think I can really bring some ideas here that'll make you think, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to be like WIP. I don't want to be like 97.5, The Fanatic. Those are the Philly sports stations here in Philly, even though there's a third one that Sean Brace has, 102.5, I think it is, or whatever it is. But, I just want to do something different for you guys and have some fun here with it. So I appreciate everybody that takes the time, and whether they pop in for a couple of minutes or if they talk the whole time. So I do want to thank everybody for joining me. or taking the time to watch after the fact or listen after the fact. Because guess what? I do this for you guys. Even for you guys that are new and have never caught the show before in the podcast form or in stream form. But I'm talking way too much now. I need to end this because if not, I'm going to talk another hour and a half. So do want to thank you all for joining me. And I will catch you Tuesday night on No Filter. And also check out bleacherbrothers.com for all your sports needs. And check everything on No Filter. Plenty of shows there. Tony Bruno's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. You have the last call at 9:15. You got retro ads on Mondays. You got the Bleacher Brothers show on Wednesdays, and all these other shows that come up, even if they're not Bleacher Brothers related. Give them a look. Some entertaining stuff out there. So thank you all for joining me, and I will catch you Tuesday night on No Filter. And follow me on Twitter at Joe Quills, and we'll go from there. Good night, everybody.